Bones are amazing things. They hold us up. They support us. They make us strong. But bones have other uses. In the past, bones were thrown by diviners, seeking out the mysteries of the future. Now the bones are cubes, made of plastic or resin, but they still reveal things to us. As they fall from our fingers and rattle across the table, the story becomes clear. Welcome to Bone Throwers Theater, an RPG actual play podcast.
Welcome back to Bone Throwers Theater with our special Grimworld One Shot. My name is Aaron, and I'm playing Jamison.
My name is Jordan, and I am playing Arlo, also called Squint.
My name is Jeff, and I'm playing Nickel.
Look at this photograph!
I've been waiting for some kind of bring Nickel back or...
Oh, man.
My name is Jeremy, and I am playing Rock Juice.
Yes.
And this is Johnny playing Franklin.
Franny.
And my name is Mike. I will be your director this evening. So last we saw our characters, they were about to make a campfire and seek shelter.
We're not carrying them, we're burning them.
Yes!
That's because there's no sewers for us to carry through. There is a river you can dump them in.
So you made camp. Do you want to set up any kind of perimeter? Do you want to set up a watch? What do you?
Well, definitely a watch.
How do you want to deal with the evils that might be?
Yeah, because we have 2 horses to take care of.
I forgot about the horses.
I think we all forgot about that.
I'll be honest.
No, I had them in the back of my head the entire fight. I was like, I'm glad these guys aren't in melee, because they'd be gone.
I never got off the horse.
What was the Shadowrun game where we had an NPC and like he was just gone?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
Like Merv or something like that. It was like, wait, where did he go?
Yeah.
Just dropped through a plot hole. So your plot horses are seeking shelter over by the concrete and twisted metal.
Just to make sure I still sense the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, if you remember, Juice, he's gonna actually, as everybody's making camp, gonna kneel down. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out that braided hair, and it looks like he's whispering to it, facing the structure.
Okay.
The heebie-jeebie structure.
Cool. So anybody want to set up, start fire, set security perimeter? What do you want to do?
I will go ahead and start a fire with the bodies.
I'll walk a perimeter and just start a patrol.
You could also, if you wanted to, you could conceivably climb up on some of the structure for a higher vantage point. There's rope.
So we're still a ways away from that structure. We're not up against it.
No, you're so within quarter mile, but are you moving to it, or you're not all moving?
No, we're not going up on it.
Okay, you're going to make a fire here, not there.
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool.
If we're moving anywhere, we're going to be closer to the cliffside, not to the structure.
Yeah.
So it used to probably be 2 stories. It's now maybe a story and a half crumbled. So the structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you were to get closer, because of the low light, if you got closer, you might see more structural details. But not really sure what it is or why it's there right now.
Yeah. I'm definitely not going over to that in the dark.
I am gonna take a look using my raven. Kind of scout the area. I have the ability to see through my raven's eyes once per scene. So I'm gonna have Poe go take a look for me.
Okay. So if I could get an empathy roll.
It's a 1!
Might I say, what a great choice of bond you have there. So, flies in, and you see through his eyes what looks to be maybe a bridge or damming structure of some sort connected to the building. Maybe an old stone water wheel of some kind. Not really sure. Doesn't make 100% sense in your mind what you're seeing, but it's something to do with the water.
I will describe that to my
Compatriots.
There is also, if I can get a hard observe roll.
Nope.
Is there
Not so much.
a shadowy area between here and the structure?
So everything is kind of falling in darkness at the moment. So there are swaths of shadow up against the cliff, and there is, right as you get to the structure, there's a large portion of shadow right up against the front where there's a little inward elbow.
About halfway through on the shadow side of the cliff. Juice, you see him, he holds up the braid again, and he crosses it over his heart, says another whisper, and I'm going to try to shadow step.
Nice. Okay. So you see him step into shadow, and then you can either stay in the shadow where you emerge, or you can emerge out of the shadow.
For right now, if I do it, I'm going to stay in the shadow.
So he steps into shadow and he's gone.
All right. I need to roll for this, right?
Yes, you do.
All right.
It'll be a potency roll. So focus, 1d6 points.
A 1.
So you can do your thing if you want to use a point.
Yeah.
Is it a 1 again?
Yes, again.
Need you to understand the statistics here. I have done a lot of dice math, and nothing's going to be changed because of this, because the percentage on this is really low.
Did you see how that
it's
bounced? That was a weird
like
bounce.
216 or something like that for you to do.
The shadow's affecting us.
So, it's a spell failure.
Okay.
That hard observe that I just did, since I rolled that 1, I added a stress. Can I also retcon and do the dice pool and?
You can, sure.
Okay.
So you will take a stress from it.
Yeah.
It's Johnny. It's your dice.
A 1.
I think it's this situation.
It's the dark.
It's the dark.
The dark is influencing it.
Oh, that is funny to me.
That's funny to me.
In the meantime, while these interesting individuals are doing things that are not working out for them, I would like to start preparing some rations for dinner.
Do we trust his cooking?
Give me an observe roll.
Okay, I've got a +1 in that. I got a 4.
Cool. You hear wood against ice crunching from somewhere out in the river.
Okay, that's cool. I wanted to do something additional too.
That's cool.
I would like to pull out my Ghost Whisper, and I would like to manipulate the knobs on it, and then set it up next to me while I'm cooking to see
Nice.
what I can see.
It's fairly quiet at the moment, but there is a low-level hiss from it that isn't normal. It sounds regular. There's no rhythm to it. You're not sure if it's just because of the storm or spirits inside of it, but it just kind of stands out to you.
How far away does the sound of the wood on the water?
It's really hard to determine that because of how many hundreds of yards wide it is.
Yeah.
And how echoey this canyon is with the ice there. Plus there's other sounds still going on. There's still wind happening. You're cold. You're shivering. Your teeth are chattering a little bit.
I'm gonna imagine that we can use the snow for water, melt it off. And so I'm gonna go ahead and set up a little pot over flame to melt off some snow so that we can pour it into our rations, and then that'll heat it up and everything. And then I'm gonna pick up my rifle and I'm gonna walk over towards the sound of the noise.
You approach the shoreline,
Nickel, do you hear this?
and there's firelight behind you, so your shadows and everything cast out there, and you can see for maybe 100 yards or so, and just looking out there, not seeing anything much.
I'm gonna go ahead and walk back towards
As you
the
turn it, something catches your peripheral vision, just something moving or something out there on the ice, and you're not exactly sure, but it catches your eye strongly enough that you turn back to look and think that maybe if you peer into the darkness a little harder, or maybe even take a couple steps out into the water, you might be able to see better, or maybe light it somehow.
Is there a rule set for when you can retry?
So basically come around to your action again. Yeah. So not being in combat is a little more fluid.
I'm going to go ahead and pick up a pebble, and I'm just going to toss it towards the sound, see if it hits ice or if it goes into the water.
Okay. And you hear the pebbles skitter across, and you hear it thunk into something wooden. And then you can somewhat make out what looks to be maybe a wagon wheel or maybe a wagon tongue piece. Something man-made is out there in the ice, like protruding up. And then you see a hand reach out from the wheel, pick up the pedal and pull it back. The fingers are probably 8 to 12 inches long. The skin is white and blue.
And Juice is attempting to shadow step again.
Boom goes the dynamite.
4.
There we go.
With a focus of 5.
So what is the power level of the spell?
3.
3. So you got a 2. So you get a minimum effect of it. Can only be the next closest unrelated shadow. So at nighttime it actually helps you out because you're in a larger pool of shadows, so you could get further out there. So everybody give observation to see if they noticed the pebble thing going on. Or you can just state if you want to or not.
Juice probably he was focused on trying to do his thing.
He's focused on the house, right?
Yeah.
Spell casting. You notice it. You saw it. You're like, oh, here we go.
3.
A 3.
5.
All right. So you see it. You see it. You do not.
I'm on the other side of the camp. Look,
Yeah. Right. Sure. You were kind of
because I was doing a patrol thing.
Yeah.
So
Right. Absolutely. All right. So you can shade step pretty close to where you were talking about shade stepping to. Step into the shadow, move through the shadow realm, immediately come out right there.
With my dark sense, I can not only detect presence, but also like where and like direction to. Where / how far, so I can almost triangulate my dark sense.
So the dark sense is from your clergy, right?
Yes. So I get multiple heebie-jeebies.
I walk into the dark cave and detect evil. So the underside of the lake is lit up like Christmas.
Only to his heebie-jeebie senses.
Uh-huh.
So we don't see it.
It's
but
part of him
it's
being
just,
a clergy. He can sense,
But not from the building.
not from the building.
They're beneath us! They're on the bottom of the lake!
I yell. You all hear him yell out, and it echoes through the valley, and you hear the sound of ice starting to be clawed at. Loud.
Cool. So how far did I shadow step?
So about halfway.
Which is?
Which an eighth of a mile.
Okay.
So you know the threat is there. You don't know what the threat is.
Other than it's dark.
Other than there's dark involved.
So these monsters that are throughout the lands, are they fightable? Or are they like just dark?
No. So there are creatures and monsters.
Okay.
They're called the Unsterblick. They roam the earth just as animal life would now, except in greater numbers because we are less. And many of them have been mutated into resembling either Grimm's fairy tales beasts or just beasts of lore and legend, but also dire versions, so to speak, of existing animals. So, like, you want to ride a giant wolf into battle? Be my guest.
Yes.
Have fun surviving that bonding ceremony. So
That's what she said.
but then there are also behemoths, and behemoths are kaiju-esque or Eldrazi-esque entities that are one of a kind. There's probably, maybe 5 or 6 of those in the world right now that we know of, and it takes entire, multiple parties of people to go up against these things. But then there's the dark, right? The dark resides in the cities of the ancestors, and it has only recently, within the past decade, started to slowly spread out from there and consume more of humanity.
Gotcha.
So we are near an ancient structure.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering if it's most likely to be that.
And by we, you mean me.
What a coincidence!
You know what? We don't really have any way to communicate with you.
Nope.
Other than voice.
I'm assuming I was able to hear that.
Everybody knows you're there!
Yeah, everybody knows we're here, and everybody
Okay,
knows there's something.
still observing the structure. Did anything happen in or around the structure when I got there and when I heard the cry?
No, but when you shade stepped in between shadows, which is normally a moment of perception for you, there was a moment where it seemed like you were moving in slow motion. And as you perceived the structure, there was a being that was standing in the water, maybe 30 feet tall, 5-10 feet wide, huge, and one hand down on top of the structure, and then one hand stretched out towards the ice. It was just very shadowy, wispy, so quickly, it's almost like game day footage in your head, as you're emerging from the shadow, it's this sense of was that even real? Did that, what? When you look at it, you expect to see that, but there's nothing there. The features were very avian. Exactly. Hollowed out eye sockets, but it was all just very shadowy. Imagine if Gandalf had blown a smoke ring and it became a thing and then it's gone.
Juice. I think we found the caravan. Well, I'm yelling, but
You also don't know where he went.
You still think I'm in the cleft of the cliff?
Scrabbling sound that is slowly coming closer and closer to shore underneath the ice is also kind of preoccupied.
yeah.
So, I took a spell called Shattered Bond that's only towards Wranglers, right? That would mean I could probably sense a bond somewhere. Or would I have to know
That's a good point,
the bond?
right? I can see where that would make sense. In order to shatter a bond, you would have to sense a bond, but you also might not be able to sense a bond, and still, if you were to cast it, it might shatter a bond. Don't know.
But it is directed towards something specific.
So the target is the bond. So the impact is mute the connection between the Wrangler and their bond. The lore is a somatic ripping motion shatters the link between a Wrangler and their bond. It lasts for 2 turns, ranges line of sight. You can target whatever you want.
I want to target the area where I saw the avian wispy thing that had its hand down in the river.
Well, it's
Reaching out
standing
towards
up
the
over the building. Imagine
yeah,
like a
yeah,
little
but it was
bridge.
it was
It's
reaching out
like reaching
towards
like this towards everything in the river.
towards the
right?
river. Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to try and, if there's a bond there, I want to try and shatter it.
Are you targeting out towards the ice? Or are you targeting the building?
Okay, so how a bond works. So, for instance, there is a bond.
Like the animal itself is referred to as the bond, capital B, but there is a bond between them. There's a link between them.
You mentioned bonding stones, right?
Yes, so
So is there a stone that each of them wears? That
So there's
bonds?
not anymore. The
Okay.
Wrangler carries it, but it contains the essence of the animal. That's what facilitates the connection.
Right. I'd be trying to shatter the bond at the stone,
Okay.
at the Wrangler.
Okay.
Thinking that whatever figure I saw may be
Sure.
wrangling whatever is over
Right,
underneath the
right,
shadow.
right,
That's what I want to try and shatter.
Okay. I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it. So, hadn't envisioned this spell being used that way, but the writing of it supports what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So, interestingly enough, would also break any bond that creature, thing, whatever, would have with maybe even something else.
Okay. All right.
So, it mutes that relationship, right? So, it is a power level
3.
3. Okay.
Do you have stress?
No.
You're not rolling his dice, right?
No, but that's not how it started the other times. Although I will use another one if I have to. 4. 5. 5 with the focus.
So -3 is a 2, so you get the minimum. So that changes the duration from 2 turns to 1 turn. So you have successfully muted whatever bond connections are at that entity for 1 turn. Okay. The scrabbling stops.
That's even more terrifying.
It's like a moment from Pitch Black where you're like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go ahead and head back towards the main camp area.
Yeah, la di dee dee.
Do I need to make any kind of like a sneak roll or anything like that?
So if you want to, you can. I would say probably not worth it.
Okay.
If something's coming at you in the dark, chances are it already knows you're there and can see you pretty well.
We haven't been subtle.
But also,
Speaking of
we're
seeing-
not in combat yet.
Speaking of seeing, I am keeping, as I'm walking my patrol around the campsite, I'm keeping my face away from the fire so I don't get that fire blindness.
Nice. Good thought. Okay. So we'll give you a +1 to perception-esque things. I love RP affecting, situational mechanics, so
I've actually been studying the faces of the raiders that we killed to see if they are locals.
So, then you would be using your detective
my
skills.
detective skills, my
Deduction.
observe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rolled a 4, and I'm skilled in the observe.
When stumped or unsure of what to do in the situation, the detective can ask the GM for a clue. Additionally, anytime a detective tries to determine the motivations or truthfulness of an individual, the difficulty is reduced to easy. So what you're looking for is more scholar, the inquisitive mind.
Yeah.
So you still rolled a 5, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. So they do look like locals, based on what you saw in Shadevale, and based on you guys have generally hung out in the Southlands for most of your existence so far. None of them are gaunt or look like they're starving.
So they don't look like they came from that village specifically.
So
They could have.
No, because scavengers are a whole nother society.
Okay.
Scavengers are less than because of genetic mutation, because they were cast out. However knows how long ago, right? There are mutations, they were thought to be a threat because of everything bad that was going on, and
Gotcha.
yeah, they're a subset of society, so to speak, but they are also, because of the problems and issues both genetically and mutationally that they had, they might have areas that they really excel at, more so than humans, but they're considered now like a subhuman race.
Gotcha.
Like, they don't even always look like us.
Fair enough.
Think of Reavers.
If they came-
Think of Reavers.
Yeah.
You know, very much like that.
I was thinking
Gotcha.
of garden gnomes.
That is terrifying.
All the scavengers look like garden gnomes.
Well, I was thinking about the garden gnome that's in the middle of town for no reason.
Oh, yeah. All right. So you're backing away from the shoreline.
That's correct. I think that my welcome has been warmed out.
Well, I'm done here. What are the rest of you guys doing? You're still
I'm still patrolling.
patrolling?
Could I hear that the scrabbling stopped, or am I okay?
Yeah, it was starting to fill the valley with sound.
I'm mostly just like sensing and panicking a little bit, actually.
I might poop.
Yeah, Juice is not moving.
Like, you just
Like staring.
see how this plays out. Jeff, what are you doing? You're still examining the people's...
No, that was just a curiosity.
There's a sound of crushing from the building, and you can see one wall crushes in, like there's fingerprints. I mean, huge, like each finger the size of us, and like it's falling into the water.
We are each big, large gentlemen. Well, most of us are.
Gentlemen?
Large.
None of us are gentlemen.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty much scoundrels at this point.
Juice is just gonna watch intently and hold his breath.
There is, for each of you, I need a focus roll.
6. Not natural. Plus.
Stress.
Alright, so from this point on, you must make a hard focus skill check at the beginning of each of your turns to resist becoming damned. If you fail, you are stricken with fear.
That's not good.
So when a target is struck by fear, they must roll one additional die beyond however many they would roll and take the lowest result. Additionally, any target that has fear suffers a -1 to all bravado rolls for the duration of being afraid.
Ugh.
One of the animal bonds you can have keeps you from getting damned, and I almost took that one as the clergy.
The eagle.
I was like, it fits the clergy, but I didn't know what damned meant, and I didn't understand the term. But yeah, now I get it.
Divine Spirit, the Wrangler and Bond cannot be damned or struck with fear. This action removes damned and fear from the Bond and Wrangler.
Nice.
But I also liked my shyster idea with the Raven, so
I think the Raven probably worked out to your advantage.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I rolled a 1 on my first die and it said roll another die.
Oh, no. So that is the effect of becoming damned. So you were looking for a 5 or better to resist becoming damned at the beginning of your combat turn.
Okay.
So right now we're still not in combat because nobody's done anything combat related.
So what was this roll?
This was a focus roll. So what did you get?
I got a 6.
Okay.
I got a 2.
2?
1.
1?
1.
1.
Wow. Wow, sir.
We were afraid.
Your average sucks.
Friggin' brought down to our level.
So you can now perceive the avian as it is stepping over the small bridge and it is staring right at you.
Oh crap!
You're all alone.
There is a fire, like, imagine a white fire in its eyes, but then put it into the negative. It's got black, but it's got that white tone to it.
Like the dark saber.
Yes.
So since it's looking right at me, I want to try and shadow step back.
Run away! Just remembered I forgot my laundry.
Natural 6.
Natural 6.
Yes.
That is a 7, so you get the max effect of the spell, obviously. So Shade Step, you can Shade Step twice as one spell.
Okay.
So you can Shade Step up to 100 yards is the distance of the spell.
Okay, so there's a distance max on that.
Oh, okay.
But you can do that twice now. So bam bam.
Perfect. Is there a shadow up against the cliff on the other side of the campfire?
On the other side of the campfire, yes.
Okay, so I would shadow step back to that one and then back to the other side. And then pop out of the shadow and be like, guys, that thing is massive. Get away from the structure.
You think?
The scrabbling under the ice starts again, and it's coming closer and closer.
Ice.
I stopped it for a time. I can't stop it forever.
Run, hide, fight.
Isn't that order?
Why not?
Quick hide under the pile of these dead bodies.
They're on fire though.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to alert you to the fact that there is something in the ice as well that's problematic. With like the caravan we think we found, but there's something under the ice. We saw like lich hands or something.
Yeah, that big thing is controlling those things under the ice.
So why don't we just leave?
I have a horse.
Oh, plot horses.
Yeah, I'm down with leaving. Live to
nope another day.
fight another day.
So this rolled really well for us, and
Oh yay!
Oh, I'm glad that the TBGBs finally came to that side of the table.
Yeah, they were over here for.
I rolled double ones!
Hey, now you know how it feels.
Get my dice off this table before it's too late. Well, that doesn't go well for anybody. A giant piece of ice lifts up out of the water by the structure and looks like it's trying to be flung at you and just gets flung out in the ice in front of it and crashes and smashes and opens up an area where there's no ice. And out of it start crawling these horrors, these amalgams of dead bodies that have been eaten and rotten by time, whatever animals are in this river normally. And they just come out with multiple limbs and multiple heads and pieces of bone sticking out, and just absolute horrific amalgams of those that have perished in this river, and start dragging themselves and crawling and creeping and lumbering and sliding towards you.
So we had already said, why don't we go?
Yeah, we're climbing on these horses the best we can in groups of 2 and 3, and we're gonna head out.
you can fit 2. I don't really.
Wait, don't we have a wagon?
I have a sled,
A sled?
Tie that to the horse and
and so at least one of us will ride the sled, so we can double up, and that poor horse will struggle.
I want to see what's going to happen. As they're discussing this, I am casting Bolt of Pain on one of them.
Oh, okay. All right. Give me a roll.
Natural 6, so it's a 7.
Woo! Nice. Per bolt of pain, a shoving somatic motion causes a bolt of shadow magic to shoot at the target. Instant duration, range of 10 yards.
Are they that close? Nope. Never mind.
But you get 1d exploding damage, and you can have 2 targets. Second has to be within 5 yards of the first target. The bolt jumps from one to the next.
They're not close enough.
30 feet, yeah. So if you want,
That's really close.
if you want to hold that,
Sure.
essentially high watch it. Anybody else before we move to tempo?
Did you see me? You starting to go.
I think we're ready for tempo.
Yep, I think so too.
All right, well, it seems like we're about to ramp up into some pretty intense combat here. So why don't we go ahead and leave us on a cliffhanger for a moment. We'll come back next time and resolve this very interesting, maybe icy, maybe not, combat situation. Thanks very much for listening. I hope you're enjoying Grimworld. Thank you for listening to Bone Throwers Theater. We are releasing this podcast under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. That means you can share the podcast, but please do not modify it or try to gain financially from it. If you would like to visit our website, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater.com. If you would like to send us an email, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is bonethrowerstheater. You can also look us up on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, may the bones fall ever in your favor. This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production.